Hey traders, it's been a while. I've been doing a lot of things lately, and I took a quite a long hiatus from interacting with anyone, being in any kind of chat rooms, being in any discords. I've been watching and I've been trading, but uh, I haven't really been interacting with anyone. But I wanted to make a video because I kind of wanted to go over. I feel like I have a lot to offer in terms of what I've been focusing on over the last year. I think it's been maybe since I uploaded. I don't know, something like that. And it's been at least 6 months probably since I've been interacting with the community at all. Bottom line is though, I switched Thinkorswim. Well, I've always had it, but I switched my main trading account here. And today's a pretty slow day. There was some movement early on. I was driving around. I had something to do today. And then obviously this is pretty untradeable. I did try to do some futures trades here, but nothing crazy, just a couple bucks. Um, Maybe if I was trading the full contracts instead of MES, which I will get to eventually, I'm sure that that would pan out. Actually, let me see here. I'm pretty sure my display isn't correct. Oh, there we go. Looks like I did not size that correctly. Hopefully that's correct now. But anyway, um, there's a couple things I've been focusing on. So first, when I took a step back, um, I'm not. I don't remember exactly what my last video was. Maybe it was around sometime in April or so of last year. If that was the case, April was rough. Took a big hit. Struggled a bit into mid-year, and then started getting my footing more at the end of the year. And then, as many things go, you figure things out right when the market gets into a fucked up position. What are you going to do? So we've got. I wanted to bring some charts over here. We got some daily charts. So let me just kind of give a visual representation here. So um, okay, that was July. Jesus. Okay. Well, as you can see, there was quite good movement, and then pullbacks, normal stuff. Um, but what have I been focusing on? Well, there's a couple things. So I realized that something very important to focus on in the market is being fluid. Being black and white kills you in trading. So I've been really trying to focus on how can I take advantage of every day to the fullest. Now, some days that's not possible. Um, there's just it's just crap. Like here, you can be the best trader ever, and like you know, I've mentioned him in prior videos, and anyone who's probably watching this video, unless it comes up on recommended on YouTube, if so, I'll probably link in the description where you can see some of these trades. But many people know Harry from the one option community and from the Reddit community that he created. Um, I don't know, 20 minutes ago he went long Nvidia. Oop, that's not Nvidia. Obviously that had a nice move right here. How he predicted that that was going to happen, God knows. Probably something about it being the strongest of all the, you know, most valuable big movers, and the fact that it's currently right hovering above its 20 SMA. I don't know, something like that. Probably saw the pop happening in the market, used it as a vector. He took $1. He's been doing that lately, just 1,000 shares here and there. Take $1 every time, just bagging a grand on every single move. Um, that's honestly the only way you can really profit on this kind of market. That's kind of what I wanted to focus on a little bit in this video is how do you go from trading something like this where it's just a gradual kind of move. We dip a little bit, we go back up, we dip a little bit, we go back up. Just the standard like up and down to we're literally or let me just goodness gracious. Let me just change this. It'll fix itself. Um Jesus. what am I doing? To the absolute just like I mean, this candle here is quite literally almost $50 on SPY. That's insane. So how do you go from trading, a gradual market move with standard, up and down to trading just nutty, explosive, volatile moves? Well, it comes down to being fluid. That's what I was trying to get to earlier. So with that, you have to feel out every day. Like today, I felt it out. We have this market. Here's the 5-minute chart, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe there's some opportunities for some day trades here. And there was earlier. I saw some people nail some decent moves early in the day when we had a little bit more volume and a little bit more movement. But now that we're just compressing basically within the size of this big red here, from when was that? 10:15 a.m. We're inside of this zone here, and we haven't been able to break above it. I tried shorting here. As soon as I got some of these big tails, I was out for break even. I saw a big spike on the 1 minute on this candle. I took $25 off of a MES futures trade here. Just a super small scalp. And if you were trading full ES, that'd be $250. Not a bad amount of money to make off a small scalp. I'm still practicing my ability to trade futures, so I'm still trading MES instead of ES. So $25 not going to really change anything in my life, but I won't say no to $25 in my pocket. But anyway, you know you have to know what's right for the right circumstance. This week, which today's Tuesday, so that's only this day and this day. There really hasn't been any kind of moves that you could take advantage of on a day trading basis with any kind of major certainty. Let me just check the calendar here. So yes, last week started on the 7th, because last week I had a great week of day trades, and as you can see here, I mean we've got 523 to a low of 481. I mean that's a $40 range. This is about the same, maybe a little less, so $30 range. This is a $50 range, like we said earlier. That's like a 10 or 20. Let's see, 509.48 to 533. Yeah, that's about $20, a little bit more. And this is probably a 10, 536, 519. That's about 15, maybe a bit more. So, last week were huge ranges. When you have huge ranges like that, there's two things that you have to worry about. Well, there's two things you need to know. One is you pretty much need to be a pro at a couple things I've mentioned in prior videos. You got to be a pro in terms of price action analysis, and you got to be a pro with technical analysis. And in my opinion, you need an incredible amount of experience to be able to navigate a market like that, because I don't know, let me pull up one of the days here. If I can see. Okay, Thursday. Okay, here's a good example. So this was Wednesday last week. That was, let me see, what day was that? That was the 9th. And the 9th was the day where we had that $50 range. So, when you've got this range here, this went from 9:30 to 1:15, you're not really able to do much with this. I'd have to look to see what trades I made that day. Maybe I'll edit that into the video. I'm not sure if I will or not yet. But you know what? Okay, I'm starting to remember what I actually did. I think there was trades to be made that day, because we already had a ton of volume that day. Let me see, 9:30. So we had a range of 493 to 503, 505. That's around $10. I mean, that's still huge. Like I mean, compare that to something like the whole day's range on January 23rd, which was 606.17 to 610. That's a $4 range, which is pretty standard for the last couple of years here. To like a $10 range that looks like a compression day. I mean, that's crazy, right? And then we had like a $40 move here. Dipped all the way down to 497. It went as high as 546. So yeah, that's that's crazy. I mean, that's $50, I think. Um, I mean, that's absolutely insane. Um, I don't remember off the top of my head what news this was. It probably had something to do with the tariffs. Um, but you basically when you're trading these kind of a bear markets where it's really news driven, you want to try to figure out. And actually, this day is a really good example of it because I made a lot of money on this day. Um, you kind of want to see where buyers and sellers are taking the most control. So um, what that means is when the market opens, you generally want to see the first move and then see if there's a large volume counter to that, or maybe a pullback that gets eaten up right away. Because, like for example, right here, we get an open, we dip, it gets bought, and maybe if you're an aggressive futures trader, you could buy this engulfing candle right here. But ultimately, you know, it's not above the open candle. It's only engulfing kind of these three here. It's really not a lot of information to go off from. Plus, this was Tuesday. Let me see here. I'm just looking at the daily chart. Um, Tuesday. Okay, so that was a big gap up after a little bit of a relief day from a huge gap down and sell off that happened on 4/4. So that was Friday the week before. So when you've got a gap up, the general sentiment is we want to make sure that the stock, or well, yeah, I mean, yeah, any stock, but I like to focus on the market the most in terms of just giving myself general direction. You want to make sure that it's not going to have a gap fill. So any kind of a move up, I want to see if there's like strong indication of buying, or we see it be weak, or just get a kind of a general gauge of that. So when I saw this get eaten up here, and like I said, if you're aggressive, maybe you go long futures here for a quick trade, but I wouldn't, just because it feels more high risk. I feel like the higher probability is leaning on, generally when you get a gap in a certain direction, you want to look for the fill in the opposite direction. So I'm thinking short here. And when I see these candles, there's a lot of overlap in these candles. If you see them stack on top of each other, so if this candle right here, the 10 a.m. candle, instead of it like being a big part of this candle, if its open was like at the top here and it kept going up and never kind of retraced on that candle at all, then that would kind of tell me that buyers are more in control, they got more strength, and maybe we could see a gap and go. Because we were in a very, very oversold condition in the market. So that's not entirely impossible. But because there was so much overlap here, that told me that maybe there wasn't a lot of strength and maybe I should look for resistance. So when I saw resistance there, as you can see, um, I was like, okay, that's not what we want to see. Let me watch for some selling. So sure enough, we got this pretty big engulfing candle. I mean, I don't know if you want to call it an engulfing candle or not, but it was large. It was higher volume than the last like 5 candles, and it did close below VWAP there. And then sure enough, we started stacking reds. So if you're an aggressive futures trader, you could short this here. I don't remember if I did or not. I'd have to look into my journal. Um, Again, maybe I'll include that here if I did, and I'll just insert it into the video, but maybe not. But let's just hypothetically say I did. You know, I would short here and probably target here just because this is where support was before. And as you can see here, there was a green. So buyers did try to defend this level. They absolutely failed, though. As you can see, it became a bearish trend day. Now, what do you do with something like that? I would say, maybe you get caught off guard by this, but then this pullback here that attempts to stage some kind of a bounce that completely fails almost immediately. When you get this breakdown here, right when you see this is where you're looking for shorts, day trade shorts, because that's the thing with a market like this, especially bear markets, news driven. I mean, this is incredibly news driven. We've got news of tariffs that are just destroying the economy. completely disrupting global trade. This is extreme, extreme volatility. When you have this, I mean, you pretty much don't want to be even touching any kind of a long-term trade here is suicide. So that's why I'm heavily emphasizing day trades. So this is where you want to be looking for your trades. You want to be seeing, okay, you know, what looks good short, and then when you get this breakdown, immediately you want to short. Um, and you can get that by seeing it's a spike up in volume. It's not above average on this chart, but I don't know, maybe it was on the day or maybe it wasn't. Sometimes you won't get above average, but it'll be above the last few. That kind of gives you an indication. But regardless, it was a close below the low from earlier in the day. And I would say at this point, I would be looking for a full gap fill, which we did end up doing, and further. So that was pretty significant. I mean, these bars are crazy. 515 to 513 on one 5-minute bar, and we saw even crazier later in the week after this. But that's kind of the logic I go through here. You can short futures here, you can short stock here. The reason why I am not afraid of doing futures as much here is because when you have a range that we had earlier in the year where it's maybe a $4 range for the entire day for SPY, or even less, we saw even less. We saw days where it was $1. When you've got that, your futures trades are going to be capped, but when and that's when you want to use relative strength, relative weakness to use stock. But when you have moves like this, I mean, this whole move before we saw any kind of um, slowing down, which uh, this was maybe you cover on this candle. I don't know. I'm pretty conservative with how I like to do things. Generally, I'll throw pivot points on the chart on TC 2000, and maybe I'd short this, and if there was a pivot point here, I would just say, all right, let me just put it a little bit above that. I'll take profit right there, because I'm I, I really try to respect the volatility I see in these markets, and I try not to get greedy. I think the biggest dangers in trading are greed, gambling, and lack of confidence. Those things can be killer for a trader. So I try to dispel any type of greed. It just depends on the market, though, because I sometimes when I'm swing trading, I go for quite a large move. But right now, I'm not swing trading. I really try to hit those quick intraday targets. Maybe I miss a huge move, but I can always get back in. In fact, I do have it on another monitor here. Um, let me see actually what I did on that day, because I'm just starting to get really curious about it. So I guess I am done. I'm not even editing it in. I'm just throwing it in. Do I have that information? So that was Tuesday the 8th. Oh, let's see. Tuesday the 8th. ALB short, Nvidia short, futures short, Tesla short. Damn, I went crazy. Okay. Let's start from the beginning. So ALB, I shorted at 11 a.m. Okay, so yeah, I see what I did there. So I started getting a little bit more aggressive here. Once what I was probably thinking was I believed in the short side, and based on the price action, because these were stacking. Like I said earlier, this was overlap. There's barely any overlap here. That's some significant selling. So I believe sellers in control. So once this was broken, which was right here, I thought, okay, let me get short. So I shorted ALB at 11 a.m. on that day. So that was right here. And I'm not sure how Thinkorswim displays their candles. I don't know. For those of you who have done a lot of chart reading, comparing it to your journals and stuff, sometimes the 1055 candle is actually the candle you're looking at, because I don't think I shorted after this long red here, right here. I don't think I did that. I think it was here. So maybe this candle says 1055, but this might have, I don't know. Yeah, you guys who look at charts a lot know what I'm talking about, but this could have been actually 11, so I'm not sure about that. But as you can see, this the reason why I picked ALB was twofold. One, let me just take a look at Tuesday 4/8. So at the time, this was just crossing below the low of the previous day. So that's pretty powerful. I like to go long or go short right above the higher low of the previous day. I think that's a good spot to do it. Plus, um, where was I going? Okay, yeah. Plus, if you look at this chart here, you can see that, right from the open, we've got a gap up, sell off, tries to establish support at the previous day's close, and pretty much immediately fails. There's really zero attempt of buyers take control here. I mean, not zero attempt. They tried. It immediately got rejected at VWAP. Sellers had control the whole time. If you compare that to SPY, you can see that there was a significant move above VWAP, and then it rejected, then it sold off, and it took a while to turn the ship around essentially. But if we look at ALB, there was none of that. It was fully selling the whole day. So when I saw that, I saw it was crossing below the low of the previous day. I immediately shorted that, and quickly, I made. Let me look here. How much did I short? I didn't make $1 per share, but because I was just trading quickly, nothing crazy here. I did a little bit under $1 per share. If I can see here, I could tell you exactly what it was. I don't know where to find it. Oh, looks like it was even less. That doesn't look right. Here, let me just do the math on the calculator really quick. Yeah, that doesn't look right. Let me just do the math. 54.41 minus 55.25, 84 cents. Okay, so I made 84 cents. Yeah, I was right the first time. So I made 84 cents per share on that trade, and that was a quick one, so that wasn't a big deal. Let me see, Nvidia. Oh, okay. So that wasn't even a short I put on. That was actually I sold puts on that. Interesting. Okay, so we don't need to go over that one. I'll make another video if we want to do put selling strategies. Okay, so I shorted futures at 12.20. So let's take a look at that. 12.20. Look, it's exactly as I said earlier. Remember when I was going over the technical analysis here? I didn't even remember what trade I made, but I said, this breakdown here after a failed attempt at support here, that's a perfect time to get short futures, and that is literally what I did. That's exactly what I did. And looks like I didn't really stick in it for too long. I only took a few points, but that's okay. I'm not super like I said earlier. I'm not super concerned with maximizing my gains here. My overall intention on days like this is, hey, if the market is moving and I can grab some peanuts from it and take advantage of this volatility a little bit, maybe be in the market for less than 5 minutes per trade, which sounds crazy, but hey, on these kind of trades it works. I'll do it. I'm not trying to get crazy here. Okay, let me see. So I shorted Tesla at 12.25, so that was right after I got out of my trade on futures. Why did I do that? 12.48. Okay, so I remember why I did that. Two things. One, it didn't even get to the SMA 20 before it rejected pretty significantly. I'm pretty bearish on the fundamentals of Tesla because, Tesla's kind of propped up by government contracts and other things like that. Plus, there's been a lot of negative sentiment around the company. And as we can see, the technical chart on the daily has been pretty weak recently as well. Plus, this was before we got that big green candle on Wednesday of that week. So that was last Wednesday. So there really was no indication to say that maybe we wouldn't break down even further. Right now, I wouldn't necessarily go short. I might, but just not this second. Um, but anyway, also I think it was my dad. He's a trader as well. Been trading a lot longer than me. Um, he said to me, "Oh, I just took this kind of gain on Tesla," and I thought to myself, I'm just checking the market really quick. I see us breaking down below SPY. I wanted to see if that was worth a short, but I see that it's just stuck in a compression, so that's a bad idea. But anyway, once he told me that, I flipped onto Tesla and I saw, oh shit, that looks like a good short. So I pulled that, and let me see if I can eyeball it. I took about $3.50 on that one. So I got in here 237.08 was my entry. So that looks like 237.08. So I entered somewhere over here and I exited at 233.51, all the way down here. Looks like I was going for kind of a gap fill on that trade, and I was happy with that. So those were my gains on Tuesday of last week, which were beautiful. That was I think my second best day last week. So that's kind of my thought process on those trades. Um, yeah. So going back to kind of my overall here, how I'm trading this market, I am just day trading. I'm really trying to avoid any kind of sustained long-term trades here, just because it's dangerous. I mean, like for example, looking at SPY here, this is current real time here. It's 12:42, Tuesday the 15th. So you know, could on a normal day, if I didn't have this shitty compression, would I short this? Maybe I don't know. Let me look at 1OP. 1OP is cresting over too, so that's pretty. I'm getting enough. I'm getting enough things in my favor, but the problem is this compression is so ass. I mean, I can draw some lines here even. Oh my god, why is it starting there? What the fuck? Okay. I mean, how do you trade when? Okay. I don't, as you can tell, I don't really draw lines on uh Thinkorswim very often, but yeah, I mean, you can't trade this. I mean, eventually we're going to break out. Those who read charts a lot, this kind of setup. It's going to break one way or another. But then the problem goes, we saw resistance here, we saw support here. So even if let's say it does break out this way, okay, well it goes here and then sells off, maybe. Okay, and then if it breaks down this way, okay, it goes here and then bounces, maybe. I don't know. The thing is, it's a lot of educated guesses, but it's also, you want to use, the most information to your advantage that you have possible. I use a lot of different things to try to analyze the market, and okay, but that's the bottom line for day trading. And there's probably gonna be some kind of question of, what kind of setups justifies what. I mean, it just depends. That's the thing, and that's part of what I'm trying to learn recently is just what justifies a trade, what doesn't justify a trade. Um, you know what's a good setup, what's not a good setup. That's the problem is, when you start, and for me it was many years, it was tough to know what decisions, like what constitutes a good trade and what doesn't. And the problem is it's so complicated that like I can't even tell you. Like if you told me, "Hey, I see SPY bouncing off this trend line here, like I'm going to go long." I don't know if I can really tell you it's bad necessarily, especially if it closes like this. I don't know. It might not be a bad idea, but like, is it the best idea? I don't know. I can't say that either. Um, you know, that's I like to do, like, I don't know, like for example on hymns, um, I have short puts here. That's what this is from. But anyway, like this engulfing candle, I don't know. It looks kind of shitty today because of all the selling, but I don't know. That's not necessarily a bad spot to buy if you're in it long term. I wouldn't be necessarily, but um, I don't know. It's my favorite kind of setups are just like very obvious ones. Like, let's take a look at SPY on days where it's not so shitty. So, we've got an open here. We try to test this, gets above VWAP slightly, sells off. Okay, let's make a second attempt, sell off again. It's like, okay, I'll short this on the breakdown. We get an engulfing candle here. This is a pretty good spot to short. I would feel pretty comfortable shorting here. Obviously, I have hindsight to tell me I was right. Even if I shorted here, I wouldn't necessarily feel uncomfortable with that. I would feel pretty uncomfortable when I see this candle, though. That might shake me out, but again, it's a small loss, and that's what you have to do with futures. You can't really let them run at all. Like earlier, I'll even tell you a trade I made earlier. So I think I even mentioned it in the video. I shorted here. I think I got in late though, so I think I ended up shorting here. I was just targeting it to come back to this level. Obviously, it came close, but I was out way before any of that. So it came down here. I was up a couple bucks. I was like, oh, nice. Maybe it'll get down to my covering price, whatever. And then, well, this is SPY. Let me just pull up ES. So this is why I got a little bit turned off from the trade. I think I should have just kept looking at SPY. As you can see here, VWAP is in a totally different location than it is on SPY. So when I was in the trade, I was looking at ES and I saw, oh shit, it's not staying below VWAP. So I covered it as soon as it closed right here above VWAP. I think it was like $1 gain. So, and that's $1 profit, not $1 per share. So I made like nothing on that trade. Then I saw this on the 1 minute chart, like put in a pretty decent engulfing candle on volume, and I just said, "Fuck it, I'll take this, go for a few pennies." I covered it right there for a few pennies, like I just said. But if I would have been looking at SPY, I probably would have stuck in that trade a little bit longer because it was rejecting from VWAP here, and I really wasn't necessarily paying attention to that as much as I should have. So that I don't know, that was whatever. It wasn't a bad trade. It wasn't that great of a trade. It's tough to trade in a compression. That's why I kind of gave up here and why I'm making this video, because what more am I going to have to do? You know what can I even do here? I mean, it's tough. I've got some short puts on hymns which are well in profit. I have absolutely no reason to believe I'm going to lose money on that trade. And then I've got another trade that someone convinced me to put on, which is fucking stupid, but I'll stick in it for now. But yeah, I mean, that's what I've been doing there. I mean, fuck, I'm gonna make this video so fucking long. I'm sorry. I swear to God, I have the worst habit of making these videos so long. But I do want to go over what I changed in my trading between the last video I made, because I think the last video I made was basically a breakdown of how I traded. Now, I did change a couple things. What I changed was I got more aggressive, basically. That was what I was lacking in my trading before. It was, and people said I had balls of steel for holding some of these trades, but maybe so, but like I wasn't really making that much money on them. So the problem was that my gains didn't outpace my losses. Well, only in like really good months they would, which really irritated me. It really irritated me. So let me give you an example of how I trade now. So, when you've got volatile markets where you can't really hold things overnight, day trading is king. When you've got markets that are pretty gradual, small ranges, and pretty predictable, swing trading is king. So I'm a lot better at swing trading. At least historically I have been, just because that's been something I've put a lot more focus into and I had more of a knack for since I started trading 5 years ago now. But anyway, so what I started doing is this. Let me maybe pull up NVIDIA. I can show an example. I don't have any off the top of my head, so I'm just going to try to find something. Okay, I'll get back to Nvidia in a second, but I'm going to short the market here, and I'll do a live trade, see how it goes. I just want to wait to see if I get some kind of let me just check the news really quick, see if there's any news. No, I don't see any news. Volume, not that great. SPY. Okay, that looks fucking good. I want to see if it closes like this. If it closes like this, I have more faith. So I'm gonna wait till 12:55. But if I see a close above, well, that's the problem. SPY, it's not actually above VWAP. This is fake VWAP. It's just futures VWAP. I know there's support here, but I don't care. 12:54. Not seeing anything. I know what you're thinking. Why don't you just short it now? Well, you never know what's going to happen in the last minute. Because if this is legitimate, that, you know, a legitimate bar here, might see it continue here. Oh, yeah. 30 seconds. Let's see, baby. Okay, it's looking good. Oh, I don't like to see that. Is this MES? Yeah, okay. Let's see what happens. We pull up SPY. Alright, looks like there's not too far off. I'm just gonna go for another small gain. Oh, we already hit it. Okay. Fuck. Let me see if it's got some move behind it. This might go. I'm willing to take break even. I don't like to see that. Okay, that's what I like to see. Boom. Alright, we got it. That would have been $250 on the full ES contracts. This could continue further, but I see a pivot point that just went through on SPY right here at 539.03, and I'm not interested in fucking around with any kind of a bounce that might happen at that level, which, you know, you're seeing the buyers and sellers fighting on right now. So didn't expect to have some fucking live trading here, but there we go. Let me go back to where the hell am I? Oh yeah, we were talking about Nvidia, weren't we? Okay, let's get talking back about Nvidia. I wanted to demonstrate what I have been doing in the market. I'm trying to find an inside day. I've been focusing on a lot of inside days. You know what? Let me just look up a trade I've already done because this is ridiculous. Let me go to January. Okay, January. Yeah, PLT. Let me just check because this. I don't know if this was an inside day, but I can just check. I don't think it was actually, but January 31st. No, that was a breakout. Okay. Do I have these labeled? Of course not. That's too easy, right? Oh, here I do. I have one labeled. Okay. ANGO on January 27th. Sold it on January 30. Oh, it looks like SPY is breaking down even more. Just to, well, I'll show you in a second. ANGO, January 27th, January 30. January 27th. All right. So I saw it's kind of in a compression. So January 27th. Okay, so this is an inside day here. I've been focusing on a lot of inside days. What I do is I try to identify support, try to get something close to support. So like if it's an inside day, I don't know, right up here, I'm like, I got all the way down here before I stop out, so probably don't want to do that. But on something like this, I'm like, all right, well, I can buy it right here. I like to buy like 10 cents above the previous high. So on this one, that's 12.56. Right here, which let me see, ANGO 12.69. I ended up buying and I sold at 12.96. Pretty good, eh? So I was looking at support here. I figured I can probably hold. Oh, well, shit, I've got the line here. Jesus. So yeah, I literally have my stop line here at 11.75. I said, if it closes below 11.75, I'm out. And sure enough, I got out on the 30th at this level, 12.96, for a decent gain. And that's kind of what I've been doing lately. I've been trying to time things in their trend. So let me see if I got some other inside days here I can find. App on January 24th. Ignore this. This is a trade that I'm working on with someone else. January 24th. Am I looking at this right? What the hell? Alright. I genuinely don't understand this at all. 367.89. January 20. Oh, no, that makes sense. Okay. Sorry, I was losing it for a second. I'm like, how does this trade even make sense? I was forgetting to look right here. So that was an inside day. It just popped above that. So I'm thinking, let's target, I don't know, something like right here maybe. Maybe I was thinking that. Let me see. Where did I get out? I got out at 371.7. Okay, so that's close to where I was looking. 371.7 right there. Yeah, so I was probably trying to loop this within some of these candles. I don't know, trying to find the resistance point. Sure enough, it triggered. Next day, gap down. It bounced above these two SMAs. I said, okay, cool, bounce off that. I'll keep it. Good next day, and then, yeah, get out on this day. So that's what I've been trying to do for swing trades. I've just been trying to target things that are working within the realm of their trend, not too far away from support. As you can see here, I've got these two lines of support here, nothing crazy. Like for example, this is an inside day here. Am I going to put a buy order up there? Fuck no, I'm not going to do that. I've got like 372.65 to 5.9. I've got like $200 of a range until I hit my stop. I mean, that's absurd. So I've been just trying to take things close to support, right crossing above the previous day's high. I find that to be pretty attractive in terms of entries and positioning. If it breaks down below, the support I identify, I'll sell it. If it doesn't, I keep it. Super simple on the swing trades. And on top of that, I've been trying breakouts. I'll show that with PLTR because I said that's not an inside day. I was trying to find inside day examples. When did I say I took PLTR? That was January 31st. So that's right here. So yeah, so I was looking here. It's clearly sold off from this point. Didn't get above it here either. So I said, okay, if it breaks above this, I put an alert, I think probably over here. I said, if it breaks above this, I'll take it. Did break above that. I sold it the same day, in at 83.0913, out at 84.59, $1.50 gain. Let's see, 84.59. That looks like about the high of this candle. Probably a bit shy of that. I like to put in my sell orders a bit shy of the resistance I identify. So that was where I got out of that one. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do on the swing trades. I'm just trying to take things very close to support, shooting for the targets I did before in my previous videos. You can kind of see me picking out the same kind of targets, either something like this, something like this. That's on these candles here. Um, maybe something halfway point of this candle. Just something that makes some type of logical sense. Nothing too crazy, nothing ridiculous. I mean, obviously, I missed this big move up here. I don't know, maybe this was earnings. Yeah, it looks like that was earnings. Um, so that's really what I'm trying to do in terms of swing trading, in terms of day trading. And the way I'm trying to do that is just staying very fluid, adaptive, and trying to nail the market without getting my ass kicked, which, easier said than done, quite honestly. Wow, PLTR. That's interesting. 97, 60 cents. No, it's not worth it. Yeah, as you can see here, I shorted this, got into this, then boom. That's why I'm in and out. I'm in and out. I'm not trying to get screwed here. I mean, even what I'm doing is risky. I mean, if I was trading full ES, it'd be more worth my while just because, here, as you can see, I'm up 51.25 for the day. If I was trading full ES contracts, I'd be up 510, 5, 5, 12, 50, maybe. I think that's the math. Which that's a lot more worth it. I don't want to show that. But yeah, that's what I'm doing. Let me know if you have any questions. I mean, I hope this video is not too all over the place. I haven't made a video in a couple years. No, that's not true. In like a year. So I've been focused a lot more on the market than I have been on education, helping people and stuff like that, which I kind of owe people because I don't know, trading's very selfish. I feel like you need to give back in some kind of fashion. But hopefully that gives you some kind of a indication of something. I don't know. I can make a lot more videos like this, maybe doing some more live trading and stuff. Maybe that was helpful, seeing my quick futures scalp there. That's something, I don't know. I feel like the longer you trade, the easier things kind of seem, the more obvious things seem. I feel like if you're a novice, you really shouldn't get involved in that because, you know, I know my risk tolerance. I know, how much am I willing to let this go against me and how quickly I need to get out. Like earlier, I shorted down here and yeah, sure, I could have sat in it all day and suffered mentally and then gotten out here for a gain, but I'd much rather just get out for break even when I feel like the trade's starting to go against me. That makes a lot more sense to me. But hopefully that's helpful in some kind of fashion. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm gonna try to cut this video down and cut some things out. I think there was a lot of stuff that I repeated, so I don't know when this video is gonna come out. Hope maybe it never does. Hopefully it does, because I spent the last 51 minutes recording. But let me know what you're interested in trading. I mean, I can go over anything. I trade mostly equities now. I used to trade mostly options. Um, I can go into why that is. Um, yeah. Let me know if you got anything you want to know about. I got you guys.